And we are back with a brand new series called The Title Chase, where we are not stopping until we win a national title with every single team in college football 25. And today we start with the Syracuse Orange out of the ACC. And Syracuse as a roster has some strengths with Kyle McCord at quarterback, LaQuint Allen at running back, speed at the receiver position with Zeed Haynes, and a big play tight end, of course, 91 overall tight end, Oronde Gadsden. But scheduling-wise, we're going to keep it the same year in and year out. Just go with what the game gives us. So that means week 1, it's Ohio in the Dome. To begin the season, we started hot, winning 4 straight over Ohio, Georgia Tech, Stanford, and FCS East. But in week 5, the game came down to the wire at UNLV. We traded blows back and forth in the first OT. In the second overtime, the Q strike first.
Touchdown Orange!
And the defense finally holds on the 2-point conversion and propel us to the 5-0 start. And now finally ranked, we face the undefeated NC State, 7th ranked team in the nation for our first real test. And we found ourselves down 24 before Syracuse finally broke through for the score. But late in the 4th, NC State puts a nail in our coffin.
And that is his 5th interception, a nightmare he is not waking up from.
With a pick 6, the Orange streak is finally snapped, and we move to 5-1. After the loss, we lost our ranking, but we bounced back in a big way with a big 47-7 win over rival Pitt. LaQuint Allen led the way with 100 yards and 3 touchdowns. And now at 6-1, VTech comes into the Dome with the lead late in the 4th, but Kyle McCord's touchdown pass puts us up 4 with under a minute left. We just needed a stop on 4th and 1, and the defense comes through. Final score 38-34, as did Kyle McCord and his 5 touchdowns on the day. So at 7-1, we hit the road to Boston College, where they took the close lead with just 40 seconds left in the game. And then with just 30 seconds left, McCord tosses one up for grabs, and the receiver comes down with it at the 31-yard line, and we're nearing field goal range. But the very next play, the interception ends the comeback and the game, and the 16th ranked Orange are upset. In our next game, we went into Cal, and it was close for a half, but we broke things wide open into the 3rd and end up winning 21-10. And then we won again versus UConn, throwing and running all over the Huskies. Final score in that one, 56-10. The real challenge was going to be the Miami Hurricanes in the final game of the regular season. It was close throughout, having to retake the lead once in the 3rd and again with time ticking down in the 4th quarter. Again, it would come down to the defense. And on 4th and 9, the defense hangs on, swats the ball away, and Syracuse finishes with a 10-2 record. That loss to BC comes back to hurt us in the end. The ACC championship goes to Boston College and SMU in year number 1. Now let's check the final stats. QB Kyle McCord with a great year, 3,800 yards and 40 touchdowns. Ignore those picks, my fault. Then of course our back, LaQuint Allen, ran wild this season. 1,500 yards and 13 touchdowns. He caught a bunch too as well. But we were led by our tight end, Oronde Gadsden II, and the speedy Zeed Haynes right behind him with 10 touchdowns to go with his 700 yards receiving. And then on defense, Fadil Diggs brought the pass rush, 13.5 sacks for him. And then our secondary didn't have a ton of interceptions, just 5 total on the year. But what about awards? Let's check awards. The 2024 Heisman goes to UCF's KJ Jefferson, but best tight end, that goes to Gadsden, as it should. So he's tight end number 1. Any other players in the running? Well, LaQuint Allen finished 2nd for the best running back to Donovan Edwards, so close. And then there's Diggs, up to 3rd best in the Defensive Player of the Year voting. Meanwhile, on the recruiting trail, some 4 stars are rolling in as hoped. We landed a big-time wideout in CJ Everett, and maybe the next big QB of the future, Stephen Hawker and Martin Gilmore. Stay tuned for that one. Now let's return to the season because as it happens, Syracuse has played itself into the playoffs. And in round 1, we must go into Buckeye territory. In the first quarter, Cuse is up 3, but it's hard to keep Ohio State down for too long, and they scored through the air to go up 7-3. Then in the start of the second, the SU defense, it's in all the right places, but Travion Henderson won't be denied, running up, around, and through our defense. Then in the second half, there was a glimmer of hope. Corner Clarence Lewis took a pick back to the house to keep the score pretty close, but Syracuse offense just couldn't get its rhythm going. And even our workhorse back, all reliable, LaQuint Allen, he fumbles it right back to Ohio State. In the end, Syracuse 10, Ohio State 26, and unfortunately the Orange are just not ready yet for the big time. Ohio State would eventually go on to win the Natty over the Oregon Ducks. Not so surprising matchup. And so after the loss, we go down to 11 for our final ranking of the season as we say goodbye to some players to the NFL. And because of playing style, everyone tried to leave. I persuaded 2 to stay, 2 linebackers. But we take a big loss in the secondary. Jaden Bellamy, say it ain't so. He's going to the transfer portal. But hopefully SU's 22nd recruiting class can make up for the losses. I put the final touches on the roster with position changes, training, and cuts. Encouraging transfers. Until it was time to start again in Season 2. In year 2, Syracuse entered the season ranked number 10 with some tough opponents right out of the gate with 3 of our first 4 games against ranked opponents. And we started in South Bend against the 11th ranked Fighting Irish in a game that would go down to the final second. New quarterback Braden Davis escapes the pocket with 13 seconds left and finds a target at the goal line for the first. Then hurrying to the line, we get one more playoff as the clock expires. Davis somehow fits the pass into the hands of receiver Zeed Haynes, sending this game into overtime. Now in double OT, Rondé Gadsden shows off the hands in traffic to put Syracuse up 6. But with a missed 2-point conversion, it will all fall on the defense. To which we immediately gave up a touchdown strike right down the middle of the field, meaning we would end the game with dueling 2-point conversions for the rest of overtime. So Notre Dame was up first, and they are stuffed by the Orange D-line. Now comes Syracuse, and it goes to Rondé Gadsden again in a crowd to win it. Final score 36-34 in triple OT, and what a job Braden Davis has done stepping in for Kyle McCord this season with 300 yards and 3 touchdowns in the opening week. But no time to waste. We go from one tough road battle to another, this time in Miami, where we had them on the ropes in the first half, but faltered down the stretch.
Dropping back, they're going to throw for the first down. Oh, it's picked off. What a play.
With a pick 6 here and just bad defense all around, losing 61-33 in the end. Our win against Notre Dame must have been a fluke because our troubles didn't end there. We were routed by Clemson, crushed by Pitt, and even though we played 20th ranked Tennessee tough, they squeaked out the field goal at the end to win 24-21. And around 9 weeks into the season, we were 3-4, 0-3 in the ACC. Safe to say, there'd be no playoffs this year. However, the recruits, they were still rolling in, and by the end of the season, Syracuse would see a 12th best recruiting class in the nation, so the future is still bright. After the tough start, though, we did manage to pull ourselves together and finish the season with a respectable 8-4 record, good enough for an invitation to the Boca Raton Bowl versus ECU, where we went back and forth all game until the fourth. Tied at 27-27, it was Braden Davis to Rondé Gadsden for the lead. Then it's ECU's turn, and the result is an interception. And number 17, Jaleel Martin takes it back for 6.
He's at the 20, and he has taken it all the way back. Touchdown, Syracuse.
Final score 41-27, and it felt good to send our best players for 2 seasons, Allen and Gadsden, out on a high note, finishing ranked number 14. And Gadsden, he'd go on to be our first-round draft pick of the Dynasty. He also came away with another Best Tight End award, and LaQuint Allen, just like a season ago, finishes second in Best Running Back behind A&M's Reuben Owens. That's tough. But for the Heisman, to everyone's surprise, Liberty quarterback Kenan Salter wins it, on his way to a championship run in the college football playoffs, eventually beating Texas A&M in the championship game. And so after 2 solid seasons, I felt like my coordinators really hit a ceiling as coaches, and it was time to let them go. If I was ever going to get over the hump and compete for championships, I was going to need better help. Can't be giving up 60-point games anymore. So with that messiness done, I made my next best move of the offseason, moving powerful 5-star athlete Roberto Tocchero to running back to replace LaQuint Allen. That, alongside some big leaps in training, the roster, although young, has a lot of potential to make a run at the ACC, and because I was going to motivate them to do it. And like last season, some players wanted to leave. Luckily, we kept the transfers down to just one player, right end, Emmanuel Robertson, and man, he was about to make a very big mistake. In Season 3, the pressure was on again with a high preseason ranking at number 9 in the nation. And our schedule besides UConn looked like it had no room to breathe, starting with a neutral site showdown with the LSU Tigers. And LSU gave us huge problems. The secondary was jumping everything. Braden Davis had a rocky half with 3 picks, getting shut out of the end zone completely at the half, 19-0. Now, we weren't completely out of it, but I felt like we needed some juice on offense, some orange juice, if you will. So I decided to go with the scrambly backup, Stephen Hocker. In the third, we were finally moving the ball, and Hocker ran it in himself for our first score of the game. Then in the fourth, he brought us all the way back, showing off the arm and hitting wide out CJ Everett in stride for the touchdown. We were just an onside kick away from taking this game back, while LSU recovered and we opened with a tough loss week 1. But it did have me thinking Syracuse would have won if I had made the switch at QB sooner. So I permanently made the switch to the freshman Hocker, and suddenly everything just clicked.
Will spotted about 35 yards out. Oh, they blocked the kick. If it's 1st and 10. Got some room, headed to the goal line. Touchdown, Cuse. Give to the back. Got enough space. Touchdown, Syracuse. And 2 of the premier teams in the land. And he takes it in for the score. From the gun, wants to pass. Nowhere to go, and the ball is loose. Offense didn't have a chance. Defenders everywhere. They love this game, guys. Fans of Huskies wear basketball as a championship up the first down without getting it into the end zone. Looking to buy time. He snares it in the end zone. Second down in the red zone is still some ground to cover to pick up that first down. Headed to the end zone, and he rolls into the house.
Score. Touchdown, Orangeman. And ahead of the scene, able to make the crucial recovery.
Welcome to Chapel Hill, North Carolina, and Keenan Memorial Stadium for the half. On 3rd and goal, they'll throw it. Fires into the end zone. And he downs Syracuse. They are suspense of a bug hurdling.
Dime defense with 6 defensive backs, and none of them blitzed.
When that's college football, you're going to have your highs and lows.
The Dome today win to stop the run. On the ground. Trying to surge it in. And Syracuse University and put it on the shoulders of the kicker to save them with his foot. Just drives it between the uprights.
To Notre Dame Stadium. Quarterback drops back. We're going to test the secondary. Catch made in the end zone. So the win streak continues for this team.
Sorry, 48th group on the sideline. Fires to the end zone. And he's got it. Touchdown, Syracuse.
An incredible season, Syracuse was finally in a position to claim an ACC championship and get revenge against our only loss in conference, Clemson. This was another hard-fought game, tied 17-17 with just over a minute left to play. Then Hocker keeps the read option for himself and glides to the end zone. You'd think that would have been enough, but Clemson ties it up immediately Now it's 24-24 with 40 seconds left. And Hocker, he's going to take a shot downfield to receiver CJ Everett. But no, instead we chip away at the defense. And with 3 seconds left, we line up for the game-winning kick. And kicker Jaden O delivers the ACC championship to Syracuse. Final score 27-24 with the ACC under our belt, and at 11-2, the Cuse get a first-round bye in the college football playoff. And when it did come down to play, it would be the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl versus the Michigan Wolverines. Against Michigan, we got out to a quick start with 2 rushing TDs behind that thunder and lightning backfield of QB Hocker and running back Roberto Tochero. In full control, Hocker added 2 more touchdowns through the air, beat back the Wolverines for the Peach Bowl win 28-14. Next up, we head to the Sugar Bowl, where the Alabama Crimson Tide are waiting. The first half was all orange. We got on the board first with the speed option pitch to Tochero, 7-0. Then Hocker is able to run around the Alabama blitz and run in a big 28-yard touchdown. But things got tense in the second half, and we were hanging on for dear life as Alabama ties the score at 14 in the fourth. But we just kept pounding the ball down the defense's throat, and with all their timeouts gone, we had the chip shot set up for Jaden O, clinching the Sugar Bowl win 17-14. Now there's only one game left to play the national championship, and we would meet the Oklahoma Sooners, who's fresh off a win over LSU in the semifinals. It would have been cool to get our revenge game against LSU and have the season come full circle, but LSU blew it, let's face it. Instead, it's time for Oklahoma versus Syracuse. And after 2 straight field goals to start this game, Oklahoma corner Jacoby Johnson got us good, returned a pick 6 to make the score 7-6. But then in the second quarter, we got him back. It wasn't quite a pick 6, but it set up Hocker for the touchdown run to reclaim this lead. Now into the second half, Orange are up 19-7 until the Oklahoma running game slashes right through our defense to make it a 19-14 score. Later in the third, the defense comes up with a big stop, forcing Oklahoma to settle for the field goal, allowing Syracuse to keep a 2-point lead. Then into the fourth, Hocker launches up a deep ball to Z the Speed Haynes, who wins the foot race to put Syracuse up 9. Next drive, Oklahoma is stopped again and crucially held to a field goal, making the score a 1-possession game, 26-20. And then things get real dire here as Oklahoma's corner Jacoby Johnson picks us off again, his second pick 6. Now down 1. Syracuse needs to score in a hurry, so we take a shot deep, and it hits, followed by the first and goal option keeper with about a minute left, and Syracuse is back on top. 2-point conversion fails, so the defense has to make a stand. And with 50 seconds left, Oklahoma crosses midfield. Then the next play, the back catches and fights his way down to the 21-yard line. Then they take a shot at the end zone on 2nd and 10, go incomplete again on 3rd and 10. So here we go, 4th and 10 with the title on the line, and the pass is broken up. The Syracuse Orange are national champions. Final score 32-27. Oklahoma very nearly stormed back and took it from us, but we got the job done in year 3. Now, normally this is supposed to be where we hang it up and try a new team next time, but I've decided it's only fair we get another chance to defend our championship belt. So I'm going to sim ahead and see what Hocker, Tochero, Everett, and company can do with another year's experience. On to year 4. And so we start season 4 at the very top. Preseason number 1, and by the looks of it, a very favorable schedule this season. Besides 1 or 2 games like Penn State or V-Tech, this time we're going to sim straight through and see where we land. And after simulating, we come out the other end 10-2 again, but ranked at number 2 in the nation, ready to face Virginia Tech again for the ACC championship. In our previous matchup, it looks like we won handily, 42-28. And now in the rematch, we ran all over the Hokies and put 42 more points on them. Final score, 42-21, and ACC champs for the 2nd straight year. QB Hocker was the player of the game with 4 touchdowns, and this year ended up 4th in the Heisman as well. with 3,400 yards, 31 touchdowns, to only 4 INTs, including 400 more yards and 8 more touchdowns on the ground. Meanwhile, in the college football playoffs, we once again secured the first round bye into the Peach Bowl, this time, though, against the Florida Gators. The Florida game went back and forth, and before the half, we were tied 21-21 when Hawker found Everett in the end zone for the 7-point lead. Then in the fourth, we're trying to run out the clock, still clinging to that 7-point lead. We hand it off to Roberto Torchero on third down, and he hits the open hole for the first down. From there, we can kneel it out and escape with the close 45-38 victory. Florida was tough, but things were about to get tougher into the Orange Bowl against an old nemesis from Season 1, Ohio State. And we started the Orange Bowl on the wrong foot, and it only got worse from there. Everything bad happened. Interceptions, fumbles, and the Buckeyes even housed a punt back in our face.
Oh, and he's got some space here. Still going. It's a foot race. Can they catch him? No! Touchdown!
Our first touchdown didn't come until the fourth quarter, but by then it was too late. Ohio State stole our oranges. Final score 45-24, and in the end, the bracket shook out to be a Notre Dame-Ohio State final game, with Notre Dame eking out the championship 32-30. And then in the offseason, despite my best efforts, we lost receiver C.J. Everett early to the draft, along with Zeed, Haynes, both over 90 overall. But with Heisman, Hawker, and Torchero back, and the #1 recruiting class incoming, I knew we could reload for one last run. We began ranked number 5 in year 5, but what matters is the ranking at the end of the year, so we're jumping ahead to the end of the season, and we've ended up 12-0, ranked number 2 versus Georgia Tech in the conference championship game. We've had a good run at Syracuse so far, but now we had a shot at perfection, and we were rewarded handsomely for it. Our offensive coordinator won the Broyles Award. Then Hawker won Player of the Year, QB of the Year, and the Heisman. And on defense, Toby Shelley grabbed 3 trophies of his own: Best Defensive Player, Best D-End, and Lombardi Awards. But that's not all. Roberto wins Best Running Back for 2028. A review of the schedule shows some of the close calls along the way, but even now in the ACC Championship, the Cuse remain unbeaten, 13-0 after beating G-Tech, and after that, we were solidified as the #1 team in all the land, the only unbeaten left. And after the first round bye, it would be a grudge match in the Orange Bowl against Penn State. Now, we beat them earlier in the year, only by a field goal, 36-33. But will it happen again? Yes, we got them again, simming and winning the quarterfinal behind our running back, 31-21 final score at 14-0. Next up was our first Fiesta Bowl game against Cincy, and we simmed and beat them too, this time with defense, holding the Bearcats to just 7 points. We were now 15-0. And the defending champions were knocking on our door, Notre Dame. They beat Oklahoma State in the other semifinal. So then, it all comes down to this, the final game of the Dynasty, and it's for a chance at a perfect season. In the national championship game, Notre Dame got on the scoreboard first with a field goal, but late into the first, Syracuse finally breaks through with the backup running back's big 20-yard touchdown run. In the second quarter, it's Hawker back to pass. He doesn't see anything good, and so he takes off down the sideline for the diving score. And then again, with seconds before the half, the pass is launched deep into the hands of the tight end for another touchdown. And Syracuse, with one more field goal for good measure, this game is done. Hawker nails it from victory formation, and Syracuse finishes the undefeated 16-0 championship season. That's 2 titles in 3 years for the Orangemen. It's time to go out on a high note.
They are official, your kings of college football and national champions, the Syracuse Orange.
I can't do it any better than that. We accomplished quite a lot. But let me know who you'd like to see in the next College Football Dynasty. I'll probably try a run through of Madden as well. So thank you for watching. Check out my USFL video if you haven't checked out that one yet. And I'll see you in the next one.